Imagine if your brain did not get the signal that your tummy is full and you still kept eating despite the fact that you knew that you need to stop.
People tend to go on these crash diets. They're having only 1,000 calories a day. They're in the gym 5 days a week, yet the scale doesn't move at all. Is there some kind of science behind that?
Is that low-fat foods are marketed as healthy foods. So we tend to subconsciously eat more something which we consider as healthy, and that is why the weight loss fails.
Most of the time, you'll catch them with a bag of chips, they're drinking colas, they're always eating junk food, and yet they're very thin.
So let's look at the foods which are actually considered unhealthy by most, but are very good for your health and may actually lead to weight loss. What if I told you obesity is not about weight at all? What if the fat has already invaded your liver, pancreas, and even your heart? What if every failed diet didn't mean you were weak? What if your biology was quietly rewiring itself to work against you?
Obesity is no longer a lifestyle disease. It is a progressive, serious condition that can lead to permanent damage to your internal organs. By the time most people are warned about the disease, the damage has already been done.
In this podcast, we are going to talk about things nobody talks about. Why is your metabolism fighting against you? Why the hunger isn't just in your head? Why waiting makes obesity harder to beat? And why doing everything right isn't enough for everyone? This is not about blaming someone. It's about biology, your health, and survival. Hi, my name is Dr. Chandral Chugh. I am an American board-certified neurologist.
And I am Dr. Nivedita Pandey, an American board-certified gastroenterologist and hepatologist. Welcome to the Dr. Good Deed podcast, a platform where medical experts cut through the noise and bring you the facts that really matter. So let's start with the first question. Why is it that some people, while eating the same food, gain weight more easily while others don't?
Well, you know what? This is a very interesting topic. And we come across so many patients in our clinics who always question this, that they've been eating a lot of food and then they're gaining weight, whereas they're not eating at all. They're on like crash diets, but they don't seem to lose weight. The problem lies that obesity is not just about eating a lot of food. Imagine when your body is producing a lot of insulin, but it's not using the insulin. So the cells do not respond to insulin, which is known as insulin resistance. When that happens, the body is not able to lose weight and the body keeps needing more and more food. The second kind of obesity is when your muscle mass, the engine of your body, which burns a lot of calories, is not working well. When you have very low muscle mass, which means your metabolic rate is low, the rate at which you burn calories is low, and that's why you tend to become more obese and more fat. And then, Dr. Nivedita, what about the other kind of obesities?
The third type of obesity is one in which you tend to eat a lot. In medical terminology, we call this hyperphagic eating, where the connection between the brain and the stomach is lost. Essentially, the stomach is really full, but somehow it isn't able to signal to the brain that you need to stop eating. The fourth type of obesity is one which is stress-related. When you're going through something really bad in your life, you lost your job, you're in a bad relationship, the day hasn't gone very well, and all you want to do is eat. This is known as emotional eating. The classical body shape of people who indulge in a lot of stress-related eating are those who carry most of their weight on their belly. They have very thin arms and legs. This is known as stress-induced obesity. So as you can see, obesity is of 4 different types.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like 4 different types. It's not just about eating a lot. It's about your biology, which is working against you. It's about your insulin. It's about the muscle mass you have. It's about the brain getting signals from the stomach that it's full. And then it's about stress. We tend to forget all of them and tend to blame people that they're gaining weight because they're just eating too much. Aren't we a little inconsiderate?
The hardest part of obesity isn't the weight. It's the shame you're carrying in every room you enter. Every chair, every photo, every flight, every time you look into the mirror. Obesity turns normal moments of joy into a dark void, killing your self-confidence.
Obesity is not just a willpower issue. It's not completely you who's to be blamed. Imagine if your brain did not get the signal that your tummy is full and you still kept eating despite the fact that you knew that you need to stop. This is exactly what happens when the brain doesn't respond to a chemical produced by the fat cells in the body called leptin. This is a chemical which signals us to stop eating. It is also known as an anti-hunger chemical. Now, when you are resistant to leptin, your body doesn't respond to it properly. Your body doesn't get satisfied. And you want to keep eating despite the fact that you know that you've eaten enough. And that consequently leads to weight gain.
So, how do we know that there is something wrong with the leptin hormone in our body? Well, there is really no lab test that checks for the leptin. But there are certain red flags that if you're experiencing should tell you that there is a problem with the leptin in your body. Number 1, strong drive to eat within 1 to 2 hours of having had a full meal. Number 2, no spontaneous reduction in appetite despite weight gain. Number 3, inability to lose weight. And number 4, a very strong drive to eat under stress or fatigue. If you experience any one of these red flags, it is basically a signal that there is something wrong with the leptin hormone.
Yes, and you know what? It's not your fault. It's not your willpower which is at fault here. We are very quick to be judgmental and blame people for the amount of food they take, but it's actually your body and your brain playing tricks on you inside and forcing you towards food.
Let's talk about something really interesting. People tend to go on these crash diets. They're having only 1,000 calories a day. They're in the gym 5 days a week. They are really passionate, extremely motivated to lose weight. Yet, the scale doesn't move at all. Is there some kind of science behind that?
Well, this is a very interesting scenario that we usually see. So imagine somebody who's been on diets for like the last 2 or 3 years, somebody who's been very diligent with the gym, but they're not making any progress. Actually, your body has entered into a protection phase. This is known as adaptive thermogenesis. Now, what is that? It's a complicated name, but let me explain it to you in simple words. If you do crash diets or if you work out aggressively without eating enough, your brain senses that your body is in a starvation mode. Now, when it senses that, it decreases your metabolism. It just doesn't let it burn. So what happens is you tend to lose a lot of muscle and not fat, and then your immunity goes down and you become weaker and weaker with your metabolism going down and down. And that is why the weight doesn't come off. The leptin levels in the body will go down, so you're always hungry. Your muscle mass will go down, so you'll be having difficulty losing weight because your metabolism, which is run by your muscles, goes down. Your thyroid hormone, which is a big fuel for your body, which increases the metabolism of your body, goes down too, sensing that the brain is telling it that the body is in starvation mode, stop burning fat. And that is why the fat scale doesn't move. If such individuals start having a little bit of extra calories and concentrate more on the protein intake rather than just carb intake, they would see a sudden jump in their thyroid hormone levels as well as their metabolism and will break off the plateau very easily. But we tend to forget that because we're too scared of eating food and gaining weight, and there's so much pressure on us to look good for an upcoming event. So now another common thing that we come across is how much of weight gain and obesity is related to your genes. Do you see this often?
So let me put it this way. If your grandmother was obese, your mom is obese, there's a very good possibility that you're going to be obese as well. This is the role of genetics. But you'll be surprised to know that, now science has started to discover that there are many factors that are involved. Some people may have a genetic defect in which they become very obese right in childhood. They have a pathological amount of hunger where they constantly want to eat. However, this contributes about 40 to 50% risk of obesity. There are several other factors that also tend to influence you. For example, if you live in a community where everybody is indulging in eating very unhealthy food, nobody goes to the gym or exercises, everybody is obese, more than likely, if you are living in that environment, you are going to become obese as well.
You're right. It is like if you're surrounded by unhealthy people, you will more than likely become unhealthy. It is very difficult to fight your environment. It's like if you want to clear a good competitive exam, you go to a coaching institute. It's because you're surrounded by people who want to do the same thing. Similarly, if you want to be healthy, surround yourself with healthy people. Environment changes a lot of genes.
When the environment begins to influence your genes, this is called as epigenetics. These are changes on your genes that get influenced by your environment, by your social factor, by your behavior. So all in all, just because you have a family history of obesity, you can change your risk factor just by changing your environment. Isn't that a powerful tool?
Absolutely. I think it's amazing to know that genes can also be changed. Unless and until you're really unlucky, genes should not be blamed. So this brings me to a very interesting point in this conversation, and you can always comment in the comment section and tell us of how we're doing, and if you would like to discuss any particular disease or any particular problem that you or your loved ones might be facing. Now the next question is, we all know about obesity and weight gain. This is visible obesity. But what about invisible obesity? What about the fat gain that doesn't happen over the skin, but actually inside your body? What is that?
What a great question you have asked. Today we have coined a term called as MONW, which means metabolically obese with normal weight. I'm sure all along you have met people who tend to eat whatever they want. Most of the time you'll catch them with a bag of chips, they're drinking colas, they're always eating junk food, and yet they're very thin. This is one thing I hear from most of my young patients who keep telling me, you're telling us to eat healthy, whereas our friends can eat anything they want.
Absolutely.
And they're really thin. What you have to understand is that this concept of where you are actually normal on the weighing scale, you may actually be depositing this really bad fat inside your internal organs. This fat deposits around your liver, your brain, your heart, and your pancreas. This is an invisible killer that will actually come to light when the damage has already been done. People who suffer from metabolic obesity with normal weight tend to have a very high risk of developing diabetes, liver disease or cirrhosis, strokes, and even heart attacks later in life. So, just because you can eat anything and get away with it because the weighing scale is telling you so, don't be too confident about that, because you may have to pay for it later.
Yeah. There is no concession on eating healthy. If you think that you can get by with junk food and smoking and drinking a lot of alcohol, there is no discount there. The body will not spare you, and we will have to pay a price at some point of time in our lives.
So now that we are talking about invisible obesity, why don't we talk about why this fat depositing in the internal organs of your liver is causing so much harm?
Okay, so imagine invisible fat or fat on our organs like termites. So they're eating up the body from inside. They're producing a lot of factors which are inflammatory, so they're causing a lot of damage to the organs and the blood vessels inside. And you can actually check this inflammation in a way that you can get an idea that your body is undergoing a lot of problems inside. When you look at the CRP level starts increasing. Your liver enzymes like AST, ALT start increasing. The amount of triglycerides increase. The good cholesterol, which is known as the HDL cholesterol, starts to decrease. Fasting insulin starts to increase. These are certain factors which will point towards the inflammation and deposition of fat inside the body. You can also look at a DEXA scan, which will give you an idea of how much fat is being deposited. And it's actually going to cause a lot of problems in the future. So why don't we talk about if low-fat foods are actually healthy, and do they lead to weight loss?
We used to talk about low-fat foods because we believed lower fat means fewer calories means weight loss. This is the mathematical calculation that everybody has been working with. Unfortunately, your body is not like a calculator. So all of these low-fat diets sometimes can backfire. The number one reason is that when the fat content in the food is low, there is less satisfaction with the food, there is more hunger, so you tend to eat more. The second problem is that we tend to replace the fat with very refined carbohydrates or sugars. These in turn increase the insulin spike. As a result, the body is depositing way more fat than usual.
And what we need to remember is that when the fat is low, the food tends to leave the tummy very early. And when it leaves the tummy early, you feel hungry. And what happens is that the insulin spike is even higher when the fat content is low. So which makes you hungry after a couple of hours after your meal. So at night, you would have a lot of craving if you're having a low-fat diet. which is a recipe for disaster, and that's where Zomato and Swiggy comes in. The other thing that we forget is that low-fat foods are marketed as healthy foods. So we tend to subconsciously eat more something which we consider as healthy, and that is a marketing ploy, and we tend to overdo that, and that is why the weight loss fails. So let's look at the foods which are actually considered unhealthy by most, but are very good for your health and may actually lead to weight loss.
Absolutely. Some of these food items are going to come as a very big surprise to most of our viewers. Let me tell you the first one, whole eggs, the complete egg, very good for your health. The egg is very rich in protein. It has the right amount of fat, so it causes the right amount of insulin to be released. As a result, there is no weight gain. The second food in this item are nuts. Nuts are very rich in good fats, and as a result, they make you fuller, faster, and lead to a stable weight. The third food is full-fat yogurt. Throw away all those low-fat yogurts that you have stocked in your refrigerator, because it is these full-fat yogurts that are very good for your health and do not lead to weight gain.
And they have also good bacteria. And you'll be surprised to know potatoes that we all blame for weight gain are actually not the culprit. It is when we process the potatoes into fries and hash browns that causes the problem. Potatoes have a high satiety index, and when you cool it down, it turns into resistant starch, which doesn't spike your sugars a lot. The other thing is rice. You prepare the rice and you cool it in the refrigerator for overnight. It will decrease the sugar spike, keep you full, and is very good for your gut. Better than wheat in certain cases.
And in addition, if you're consuming certain varieties of rice like basmati, which has very low glycemic index, it causes very low sugar spikes in the body. In this podcast, we've talked so much about being unhealthy, about being obese, but how do you know if you are healthy? How do you know that your body is in good shape? How do you know that your body is in the right shape, like the way your doctor wants you to be?
Well, rather than concentrating on what your weight is and how you look, why don't you concentrate on how your body feels? What's your blood pressure? What is your lipid profile like? How's the good cholesterol versus the bad cholesterol? Are your markers of inflammation under control? Is your blood sugar normal? Are you in a good physical shape? Can you walk 10,000 steps in a day without getting short of breath? And can you run 3 flights of stairs without any difficulty? Look at these things, which are much more important and carry meaning than your weight itself. So before you go, remember this. Obesity is not the failure of character. It's not the lack of willpower or lack of discipline. It is a disease which changes the way your brain perceives hunger and your body stores fat. If you've been struggling with weight, it doesn't mean you haven't tried enough. You just don't know how your body has been fighting weight gain over the years. Nobody has told you about this.
The scariest thing about obesity isn't the number on the scale. It's about how long you wait before you take it seriously. Let this be the takeaway from this podcast. Earlier understanding of obesity leads to better outcomes. Earlier compassion leads to better care. This podcast isn't about fear. It's about clarity, and clarity leads to power. If you are someone who has failed a lot of diets and has been struggling with obesity, please write to us in the comments.
Do let us know if you have checked your inflammatory markers, CRP levels, as well as your good and bad cholesterol, and you found them high or abnormal. Thank you for listening. I am Dr. Chandrachud.
And I'm Dr. Nivedita Pandey.
Till the next video. Thank you.